Today I'm sharing some great Inktense tips that you can use in your own work starting today. Tip 1. Sketch and shade like a pro. Start by sketching your subject with graphite. You can use water-soluble graphite if you want your lines to disappear as you paint, or regular graphite if you want them to stay like I'm doing here. Then grab a black Inktense block, some water, and a paintbrush. Mix water with your block just like you would with watercolor to create a nice inky mixture. Now outline your darkest shadows. Why? Once dry, Inktense is permanent, so those deep shadows stay put, letting you layer colors later without a mess. This trick makes painting a breeze. Tip 2. Treat blocks like watercolor magic. While you can draw Inktense blocks directly onto your paper, I use them more like watercolor pans. Dip a brush into water and swirl it onto the block and then paint. Want more translucent and light color? Use more water, letting the white of the paper show through. Craving a bold, intense color? Less water, more pigment. The interesting part? Unlike watercolor, dried Inktense won't lift even if you tried. At most, you might get the dried colors to smudge if you continuously brushed over them, but they won't lift like watercolor. This feature can make painting with Inktense easier for many people new to the medium. Tip 3. Blocking in colors. Now, let's lay down some base colors with those Inktense blocks. Don't stress about the details. Just loosely block in your colors with your ink mixture. Skip applying the block directly to the paper for this step. It can look rough and sketchy. Great for rocky textures, but not so much for silky smooth feathers. Use a brush for that soft blended glow. Wondering how to avoid color mishaps? Keep listening. Tip 4. Test, test, test. Here's a golden nugget. Always test your colors on scrap paper. Dry Inktense appears totally different once water is added to it. That bright green block, it might actually be a brownish yellow color when water is added. Save yourself the heartbreak. Test first and nail those hues every time before you add ink to your project. Before we move on to our next tip, here is a message from my sponsor, me. Are you enjoying this lesson? Do you want to follow along in real time, brushstroke by brushstroke? Head over to patreon.com/Lachri, where for as little as $6 a month, you get access to this and over 400 of my other long-form lessons. That's a lot of lessons for not a lot of dollars. Let me help you take your work to the next level. Tip 5. Switch to pencils for precision. Once your base colors are down, grab those Inktense pencils for details. You can stick to blocks or pencils alone for an entire project, but mixing them gives killer results. Just like with blocks, test your pencil colors on scrap paper first. Why? Inktense pencils, except for white, tend to go dark. Even light blue or pink can turn deep navy or magenta over other colors. Plan ahead to keep things vibrant. Tip 6. Bring back the light with white. Here's where the magic happens. Need to lighten an area? The white Inktense block is your opaque superhero. Mix it with water for a thick, inky paste and paint it over the dark spots. It looks translucent when wet, but it dries opaque. For a softer touch, try the white pencil. You can even mix white with other colors for a pastel color. Tip 7. Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed-Proof White. If you find the guessing game of how opaque will this dry not up to your standard for a fun time, grab P.H. Martin's Bleed-Proof White. It goes on opaque and stays opaque. Paint over the dark areas to make them pop. This is a must-have for me with Inktense and watercolor. You can even paint it over graphite drawings for that extra punch. Tip 8. Brushes that work for you. Unlike watercolor, where fancy, expensive brushes are a must, Inktense is more relaxed. I usually use sturdier, tack-on bristled brushes, like what I typically use for acrylics, for my best results. For blending pencils, try a water brush. It's got a built-in water reservoir. Just squeeze and water flows through the bristles. Super handy for smooth blends. Tip 9. Define with graphite or pop with pencils. Once my duck painting is finished, I go back with darker graphite pencils to sharpen up my sketch lines. Want a vibrant twist? Swap the graphite for Inktense pencils. This will give you bold color for an extra pop. You're going to love the results either way. Tip 10. Bonus invite. Paint with me. Join me at patreon.com/Lachri for over 400 long-form brushstroke by brushstroke lessons, including this one, for just $6 a month. That is a lot of lessons for not a lot of dollars. Let me help you take your work to the next level. Did you know I painted the cover of the Derwent Inktense tins? Check out this video to see how I did it.